Good evening, the Popular Agave Club members. Trevor here, as always. Welcome to the second month of our La Popular Agave Club virtual tastings. If you're new to the club this month, welcome. We're happy to have you. If you're a whiskey club member at one of our Eureka restaurants, you may be used to seeing me already and hear me talk about whiskey. And we're excited for this to be the second month of our Agave Club. Hopefully everyone was able to pick up their bottles, their bags this month. This month we'll be talking all things Código 1530 with their, with our La Popular Agave Club Rosa bottle. So hopefully everyone was able to pick up their bottles. This is a Blanco tequila that's rested in Napa Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. So we're going to talk all things Código, and we'll introduce our esteemed guests very shortly. I just wanted to cover some housekeeping, as always, we do at the top of these calls. So again, second month of the club. We're looking forward to all the fun things that we have in store. We're picking a lot of great barrels, and we selected a small batch mezcal recently that we'll be featuring in an upcoming month. So we're really excited to bring you all things agave spirits as part of this club. I got my hat. I'm rocking my Agave Spirits La Popular hat tonight. So hopefully you're able to get your hat either last month or this month, and you can rock that and make all your friends jealous, hopefully. Before we get into tonight's call, I do just want to quickly go over the perks of the club for those that may be new, or maybe you've been in the club and you're not familiar with all the perks. So as a member of the La Popular Agave Club, you get your monthly bag, which includes I almost said whiskey, which includes the Agave Spirit of the Month, whether it be tequila or mezcal, or maybe we'll do some other crazy stuff, I don't know, but mostly tequila. And you'll get a card that tells you all about the tequila. I don't have my card right now, but hopefully you guys have yours. And then some other perks, you get 15% off when you're dining in the restaurant for you and up to 6 guests. I'm sorry, you and 5 guests, so 6 guests total. So it's a really cool perk. We do the monthly happy hour. So if you haven't been able to join the past 2, we do a happy hour on the 3rd Thursday of every month from 5 to 7 p.m. for our Agave Club members. You get complimentary appetizers and just get to mingle and meet other members of the club. So if you haven't been able to get to one of those, we hope to see you next month. And then you get access to these virtual tastings. So we're excited to be here. And then I do have one last thing. Next month, we are going to be hosting a cocktail making class for our kind of Valentine's Day, February themed cocktail, which is our strawberry habanero margarita. So that will be on Thursday, February 12th. That's going to be the Thursday before the pickup. But if you do come to that, and it's a great event to learn how to make a cocktail. And if you're looking for something fun to do with you and your partner for Valentine's Day, we highly recommend it. And we'll also be giving you everyone, not just Agave Club members, but we'll be giving everyone a sneak preview tasting of the February featured tequila, which I will announce here, drum roll, is going to be an Arete Reposado tequila. And we're really excited about that. It'll be the first repo that we've done. Last month we did an añejo. This month we're doing a Blanco Rosa. And then next month will be our first Reposado. So excited about that. So if you want to get a sneak preview on that, make sure you come in on Thursday, February 12th for our strawberry habanero margarita cocktail making class. It is going to be $25. For $25, you get the cocktail. You get to make the cocktail and drink the cocktail. You're going to get some complimentary appetizers, and then you're going to get a 1-ounce pour of the Arete Reposado barrel pick from the club. So without further ado, I want to bring on our awesome guest tonight, Mike Nardelli, who is the Agave marketing manager for Código. And Mike is joining us fresh off a trip from Oaxaca and Guadalajara. So he has been immersed in the rich and deep Mexican history and culture for the past couple weeks, and is ready to tell us all things about Código. Mike, welcome to the call. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you, Trevor. So happy to be here.
Awesome. So Mike, do you just want to give us a bit quick background about who you are, what you do, your history,
Sure.
how did you get to where you are today? Tell us all things about it.
Well, I could go around the world with it, but to put it quickly, I was a bartender for over a decade in Los Angeles. Then somewhere along the line, I met my wife in 2014 and realized I may not be able to be a bartender forever because I was kind of aging out of it, and started to fall in love with spirits and cocktail making. And then I fell into a job selling French wine, and then I landed a job as the national ambassador for Liqueur 43. And then I met the owners of Código at Aston Food and Wine and told them how much I love the Código Rosa and gave a bottle of it to my sister-in-law for Christmas. And a week later, they started calling me. So that's my origin story. And then from there, Código shortly got acquired by Pernod Ricard. And I transitioned over there, became a national ambassador for Código for a year. Prior to that, handling national accounts and sales. And then from there, I started representing Código, Del Maguey, and Altos, and have not looked back and have really appreciated all the agave in our portfolio.
Nice. Mike, do you remember where you and I met?
At Tiki Oasis. Yes.
We did, yeah, Tiki Oasis. So Mike, it's really great to have you here. Obviously, we've known each other for many years, and excited to have you tonight. Before we get into the presentation and start going through all things Código, I do just want to ask you a couple quick questions about your background. So you're a certified agave advisor through the Agave Spirits Institute. Can you talk us a little bit about that process, if for those that may be interested in exploring that, and how has that education kind of deepened your respect for the culture and the world of agave?
It was a very unique experience because when we crossed over to Pernod, we had the unique opportunity to meet with the Agave Spirit Institute and do a week-long Zoom training. Typically, some of the levels are done in person in Mexico, but I got 4 boxes with, I want to say it was over 40 different agave varietals. Everything from tequila to mezcal to bacanora to raicilla to tushka to some of those rarer agaves, even agaves from South Africa, and really gained a new respect for agave and how it's made and the environmental impact of how it's made as well.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, let's get into, Mike has prepared a presentation for us today to kind of go through all things Código, and then I'll probably have some hard-hitting questions for Mike, and we'll get into tasting. And so before we get into this, just a reminder, the prizes we give away, which I failed to mention, so Mike, apologies. I'm going to take 2 steps backwards. It's like I've never done this before. But we do encourage, if you're joining us live from YouTube or Facebook, you can type a question that you have for Mike about Código into the comment section. We'll try to filter through those questions. I'll ask Mike some of your questions at the end of this call, and then Mike will choose his favorite 2 questions from the audience at the end of the night. And then I get to choose who wins first place and who wins second place. And the prizes we have to give away tonight. So the second place prize is going to be a Código Rose Gold Shaker Tin set, which is really nice. And then the first place is going to be that same shaker tin set, but you're also going to get a bottle of the Código Barrel Strength Añejo, which obviously is a great prize. And thank you to Mike and the entire Código team for sponsoring that prize for a lucky winner tonight. So again, if you're joining us live and you're an Agave Club member, get those questions ready. Start putting them into the comments, and we'll ask Mike at the end of the call. So Mike, go ahead. I'm sorry to
no worries. Well, thank you, Trevor. And now I guess we'll escape to Amatitan and let you guys see just a little video of our phenomenal lowland agave. Here is just an aerial view, which is about like a minute from where I was just last Thursday. So it's truly an incredible space. Lowland agave. Amatitan is also the birthplace of tequila, which I will get into as well for you guys. If you look closely, actually, in that little video, there was a cross in the agave field. And if you see right up here, I often like to tell people it's not the Tory Burch logo. It's actually on the state flag of Jalisco, and the Mexican government gave Código permission to have it on there. So it's a highlight for us when we talk about the brand as a whole. And Código meeting the code, that's because we don't cut corners with our production. We do things the right way. And Amatitan specifically, for our fermentation, we use a local baker's yeast. We are a single nom tequila. Let me see if I get it on the video there. If you look on the back, every bottle is required to list their nom. Ours is 1616. Also, if you look at the front of our bottle, the 1530 in our name, that's the year that the town of Amatitan was founded. And it's also the first official year in the history books that tequila switched from being a pulque, which was a fermented beverage, to being officially distilled. And it's recorded on record that 1530 was the first official year of that. So we're paying homage to that as well. Also, within Amatitan, Amatitan means next to amate trees. And here are some of the original earth ovens of the first tequila production. And these are actual ancient ruins in Amatitan that date back to the 1500s. Before we get into more details, I just wanted to kind of review quickly. I know last month you guys had Patron, but just the difference between a lowland and a highland agave. When we say lowland, it's still technically in the valley, so it's not below sea level like Florida or New Orleans. It's at an elevation of 2,600 to 4,000 feet, where a highland agave is typically 6,000 to 7,200. Also, if you look at it from a temperature perspective, it's a hotter climate, grown on volcanic soil, where in the highlands it's typically red clay, which is high in iron. Just to kind of go through some of the nuances and the differences, with a Código Blanco, you'll get more of those herbaceous, bright pepper, ripe agave notes, and which kind of leads into our Rosa, which you guys will all get the opportunity to taste tonight. Yeah, go ahead.
And you'll probably get into this, but I did notice that, is it with the Rosa specifically, or is it with all the Código agave, that the agave has to have, like, from a bricks level, sugar content level, it's 32 bricks or higher is the standard. Like, and I apologize if you're going to get to that in the presentation. Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
For us, we found like the perfect age for an agave to be between 5.5 to 7 years. And the bricks level is at a 32 or higher. For our still strength Blanco, which is our estate harvest, that's at a 36 or higher. But we found that to be the optimal sugar content inside the piña. Industry standard is around a 24 or above. So just to kind of give you perspective on that. And for us, when we're cooking, we like all of our piñas to be pretty much the same size. So we're not looking for a 4.5 that's gigantic. We want everything to be the same size. When it gets layered into the autoclave and it goes to that light steam, we want to have a perfect heat on the agave. Did that answer for you? Or?
Yeah. You're good. Cool. Sorry.
No worries. So for our autoclave, we have two steamers that we use. Some brands use brick oven, but we have found this to be the best way to have zero waste and the fastest way to produce our tequila. So overall, it spends about 15 hours at a light steam, and then it rests for 15 hours before it is removed. And then it goes into our proprietary chopper for extraction, which is not a Tahona or a roller mill, but we only use first press. And then it goes into our fermentation tanks for 4 to 8 days, fermentation being the most important part of our production. It's where the flavor is truly created. We use local yeast from a bakery down the street in Amatitan for the fermentation. And depending on time of year, that kind of determines how long it spends in those fermentation tanks. And then we distill twice, and we distill as close to proof as possible. The first time during distillation, it goes through what we call our destruction distillation, which will get it to a 24 to 28 ABV. And the second distillation is called the rectification, which will get it between 40 and 50 ABV. So we are distilling as close to proof as possible. So we're not really watering down the liquid. So it kind of creates a smoother finish, and you don't lose that agave profile when you get to taste it.
Going back to the fermentation for a second, you mentioned that Código uses a bakery yeast.
Yes.
And also open air fermentation, right?
Yes.
Like, what was the thought process? I mean, is this like a cultured yeast specifically for Código, or
it's just to my knowledge, it's just a yeast from a bakery that is down the street, and that's just for the reaction of it. It typically takes between 4 and 8 days. It's not any cultured yeast per se, but it's just a local baker's yeast.
was there like a story behind that? Was there like, did they like the bread that this bakery made, or it just was something that came to be?
I have not asked, and I wish Ricky was on the call tonight, because I feel like he could expand on that a little bit more. But yes, to my knowledge, it was a local bakery that we worked with, and that's what started the process.
Cool.
We went through distillation, and then to just kind of review our overall production steps just real quickly. All of our agave are fully mature, so 6 to 7 years. That's slow cooking. And then it goes through a proprietary chopper, the fermentation for 4 to 8 days, distilled twice. Our Blanco is unrested. And then everything else in the portfolio is in an ex Napa Cabernet French white oak barrel. The Rosa specifically is uncharred. And then when we get into everything else, we get into our charring. And it's just, again, that 100% dedicated distillery, fully mature agaves. We use 3 times the amount of agave per bottle and only use first press, and that single barrel aging that we use. And this is an elephant that I don't want to get in trouble talking about, Trevor, but it's something that I do think it's important to address. And I'll be careful with my language when talking about it based on what's happened over the last couple of years. You guys can Google what's going on in the news and some lawsuits that are happening with some really big brands. And that is additives in tequila. The Tequila Regulatory Council, the CRT, is permitting up to 1% of additives into brands, those being like sugar-based syrups, which is like a sweetness that replicates aromas and flavors. Glycerin, which creates a more round mouthfeel. Caramel coloring adds color to aged tequilas. So if a reposado is looking a little light, or you're trying to get the product into some bars quickly, there's a way to cut corners. Or oak extract. And those are aromas and flavors associated with oak. When you're using great barrels, we don't have to do that. What I like to say is Código is made without the use of abocantes. So that is confirmed, and there's no plans to ever change that. And then just to kind of go into the barrel aging that we do, some brands are doing pecan aging. Some are using most are actually using X whiskey barrels, so American oak barrels. But Código was innovators in the space by aging in French white oak ex Napa Cabernet barrels. And they really make our liquid what it is. And here is our private barrel selection of Rosa that Trevor actually helped us pick out. And just if you guys look closely at the bottom right of the screen, you can see what the actual inside of those French white oak barrels look like when they arrive in a Matitan. And they spend roughly 1 month in the barrel. Something that we say too is we age to taste, not to color. So sometimes it's 3 weeks, sometimes it's a month and a day, but it will still be classified as a Blanco, and it will not go past 2 months.
So what would be the risk if you let it go past 2 months? Is it just like an astringent oak characteristic? Like how sensitive is the resting process as far as, and what signs, are there particular things you look for when you know it's time to pull?
This well, a couple of logistics wise, like to keep it within the category of Blanco, it has to be under 2 months. So that's just like
Makes
first
sense.
and foremost. The CRT requires us to put a tape over each barrel, which someone is supposed to be coming around weekly to inspect and make sure that each barrel has been accounted for, labeled, and from a taste perspective, Código being such a cool brand, we've even had a Rosa Reposado that we launched that's finished in a Spanish sherry cask, which we released for a little while. But when it switches to a longer time, we don't notice the same brightness that you get in the saturation for the more time it spends in the barrel. And we found the perfect amount of time spent in it is in that Blanco space. And when it gets to be in the barrel longer, you have to finish it off in a sherry or a cognac cask to kind of make that really nice flavor profile with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Should I taste a little bit right now, or did you want to go into any of the tasting notes or anything about why you selected?
Yeah. I mean, we can do the tasting now. I think there was one question about kind of how we selected this. So, I'd love to go down to Mexico every time we have to pick a barrel, but I have a 5-year-old, so I don't know if the wife would like that all that much. But I believe that you guys sent me a sample pack, and I think there were maybe 3 or 4 different Rosa barrels included. When I'm tasting, I'm really looking for I have to kind of check myself sometimes, because just because I like something doesn't necessarily mean I think the average drinker will like it. So I'm looking for things that are approachable but also unique notes. One of the things that I remember that really stood out with this is you get I wanted something where the wine, you could actually not only see it, smell it, but also taste the impact that it has on the tequila. Now we're only spending, like Mike said, we're only spending 1 to 2 months, less than 2 months in these casks. So I mean, you're not going to get this huge, overly jammy, cab kind of note. It's going to be pretty subtle. But I wanted the wine to be something you could detect. So I remember getting just a lot of notes of like strawberry and like some floral notes, rose petals, and then one of my favorite things here was like almost like watermelon rind. Not like, I would say, not like you bit the rind, but maybe like the last bite of the watermelon, where like it's not that first bite that's like in the center of the watermelon that's going to be like all the flesh, but maybe as you get closer to the rind of the watermelon, kind of that last bite, which I found a super interesting note. So those were kind of my takeaways. I also, obviously it's a Blanco tequila, so you're going to get some pepperiness. You're going to get that sweet agave aroma and flavor. And then mid palate for me, I get this just like little touch of vanilla cream that I think is really nice.
Well, something that we say as well is hasta la cruz, which is until you see the cross. So.
Well, now I got to pour myself more because
see? I'll wait for you.
Yeah. Hasta la cruz? What was it?
Yes. So until you see the cross.
All right. Love it.
It's also on the bottom of our bottle as well, too. Oh, this one I have a light on it from an event that we just did. But
at first, I thought you were just drinking it straight from the bottle there, Mike. I thought you were just
no. I found when doing these tastings to have the right glassware. It's really helpful, too. I like the ISO glasses. Obviously, as we go into some of our more aged statements, a lot like whiskey, having a Glencairn or a Champagne flute or the right glassware to get the right aromatics on it, especially on a nice aged añejo, I always recommend that.
Yeah, and then as always, when we do our tastings, something I may say you don't get, or maybe I say something and you're like, oh my God, that's what it was. But in the comment section, if you want to throw in your tasting notes, everyone's tasting the same barrel here. So you may get something that someone else doesn't get, and then vice versa. I always like tasting in groups because you feed off of each other, and you can say, "Oh my God, you're crazy. I don't get that at all," or you can say, "Oh my God, that's exactly what I was thinking of, and I just couldn't put my finger on it." So if you have, if you want to throw your own tasting notes into the comment section, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching us, it's good to see what other people get as well.
Yeah, and even if you're watching these videos on YouTube or after the fact or on Facebook, you can always pause when it comes to the tasting notes. So I challenge all of you to find your own notes. So something that happened when I was doing that Agave Spirit Institute training is someone would say white flower or pear or fig or plum, and that's all I could smell. So I would encourage you to make that initial assessment and make your own sensorial evaluation when tasting agave spirits, because our palates will get stronger the more we try and not wait for somebody else to say what you're getting on the nose or in the mouth.
Cool.
Yeah. I will keep it going. And then something to be aware of as well is Código Rosa was one of the first roses available in the United States. And officially, our founder says that we created the category as well. So that's another highlight when we came to market in the United States in 2017.
What was that process like? I don't know if you have any insight on that, because obviously the CRT is not the easiest institution to deal with. Like, how hard was that to get like a new category of tequila? You know, I know you and some other producers were also, you know, early to market, first to market, but do you know anything about how that process worked?
What's kind of great, well, there are like the 5 categories, which I know everyone on here knows. It's Blanco, Joven, Reposado, Anejo, Extra Anejo. Outside of that, like in the Código portfolio, we have Rosa, we have a Cristalino, we have a barrel strength Anejo, which we are going to give out today. You know, so there's things that we have that don't have set regulations. So there is some wiggle room with how it's made, which has allowed us to be really creative with some of the different expressions we've launched, because Código came to market in 2016. It's been in the same family for 5 generations. But when you look at how many line extensions, I think, including with our private barrel program, we have over 18 that we've launched in the last 10 years, including some mezcals and some private editions and some partnerships we've done. And it's incredible what we've been able to execute and not having anybody tell us what to do. So it's allowed us to have this expansive portfolio. Del Maguey, another brand I also represent, is in a similar position with all the single villages we partnered with. It's kind of amazing to see. And then also to see a big brand like Pernod that came in and said, hey, we don't want to change what you're doing. We want to honor the rich traditions of these families that you've been working with. So it's cool to kind of see that process come to fruition.
Yeah, so Código, you said it's been around for five generations. Is that what I heard? So, I mean, how did it get from this kind of private family tequila shared kind of only amongst close circles to being this big brand that it is now?
As the story goes, Federico Vaughn, one of our founders, actually brought some of our Origen Extra Anejo in a water bottle to Ron Snyder, the former CEO of Crocs. And they decided to bottle this private tequila that was initially called Tequila El Privado, that was only available for family and friends. That's on our original Anejo canister. It says that on there to honor the family. And that's kind of how it came to be. When we came to market, we came with our Blanco, our Reposado, Anejo, and Extra Anejo. So again, when a new brand launches, that's not very common to come out with 4 expressions. Typically, it's a Blanco, then a Reposado, and there was a lot of care that went into the production of this brand and the release of it and how we came to market. So it's kind of amazing to see. I've been with the brand almost 4 years now. To see where it was to where it is right now is incredible. And I can only imagine where it's going to be in the next 5 years.
Awesome.
And then this is just a fun video to kind of show you all what happens with our Rosa barrels after they're used. We will deconstruct them, take all the barrel staves off, and then I'll let this video play while I kind of explain the rest. And this is all done by hand. and then they will literally char the barrel each individually. Each takes about 15 minutes to do. And it creates some of our amazing other brands that we have in the portfolio. I encourage you all, if you get the opportunity, to go and taste some Código. We do have a lot of our different line extensions available. Total Wine, Bevmo, you can go to our website to kind of see more information on that. But really great liquid from our Reposado, which spends 6 months in that lightly charred barrel. The Añejo, the most awarded in our lineup. Also on the top, there's a nice little metal topper that you can put on large format ice cubes to create an ice stamp. Our Origen as well, which is our 6-year, which sips like a cognac. And that's all created by our amazing team. Wilfredo Ortega here in the middle, our master distiller with over 30 years of experience. Ricky Lona, our head of Mexico operations. I'm so glad I got to spend last week with him because he kind of reviewed with me some of our training information that we have and kind of got me up to speed with the newest and greatest of what is actually happening at Código, from the fact that we partner with 4 different glassware companies. About 20% of all of our glass is made from 100% recycled glass, and it's all sourced from Mexico. That's almost all of our 1-liter glass that's in production. But basically, we have prepared ourselves to never have a glass shortage with any of our bottles. And between him and Harry, who's our distillery manager, who manages a lot of our private barrels, like the one that we're all tasting here today, and got it here to market as fast as he could. It really is quite a team if you ever get the opportunity to come visit. And then I wanted to touch on this, our barrel strength, which will be one of our prizes tonight. Fun story about this is that Wilfredo, our master distiller, the man in the middle that I was mentioning, he loves smoking cigars and drinking whiskey with his friends. But as the story goes, he got tired of buying other people's whiskey. So he decided to make an Añejo in homage to a barrel strength bourbon style. This comes in at 88 proof, and it is meant to be paired with a cigar. I had the privilege of having one of these barrel strengths in the Agave fields just last week with a cigar, and just amazing.
Sounds amazing. Take me with you next time.
Yes. And then just to kind of highlight some other innovations that the brand has, we've released 2 mezcals. We have an artisanal and an ancestral, our estate harvest still strength Blanco that we talked about. And something that I need to talk about, even though we don't talk about it typically that much in California, is we do have an investor. Oh, you have some of the artisanal. So that's an ensemble of Espadín and Tobola. Tobola only grows in the wild. Typically takes 12 to 18 years to fully mature. It's literally the truffle of the agaves. It's literally the smallest, the size of a basketball. I had the privilege of seeing some of that in Santa Maria Alvaradas, and it is one of my favorite mezcals. And for the Código, yeah. Oh, nice. Piña.
Little piña shot glass.
I need to step up my game.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yes. And it ages for 1 month in a Napa Sauvignon Blanc barrel as well, which is really unique. Typically, mezcals are rested in glass and clay. It's not very common for them to have any barrel aging. And then one thing I always like to mention is we do have this investor that some of you may have heard of that goes by the name of George Strait. He's an original investor in Código. He is not an owner. We always lead with the liquid, but George is an incredible artist, is still selling out stadiums, set a Guinness Book World Record just last summer at Kyle Field. So he is an original investor in the brand. So what I like to say is we are a celebrity adjacent tequila. And if you look on the back of the box of our Origen Extra Añejo, it'll show the 2 signatures of our founders, Ron Snyder and Federico Vaughn. And then we have some of our extra age statements. We have a 14-year. I just got word today that we will be releasing a 15-year come March. So it'll be a nice, elegant bottle that's finished in a cognac cask. So cannot wait to try
If a
that.
bottle that just happens to land on my doorstep, I wouldn't be mad about it.
I hope we can make that happen. It's honestly, it's so good. I've had the opportunity to try the 14-year and the 15-year, and it is incredible.
Cool. Some exciting stuff.
Yeah. And then I guess that leads to our Q&A.
Yeah, I got a couple more questions, and then we're going to talk about the song selections, and then we'll jump right into the Q&A from the audience. We got a lot of great questions coming in. If you haven't been able to submit your questions, just if you join late, you can just type those right into YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching us live, and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. So how is, again, I know hopefully these questions aren't too hard hitting. Has the agave shortage affected you guys at all in any way, or what does that look like in the current landscape of the tequila world?
For Código specifically, it has not, but that's because a lot of our relationships through our founder, Federico, have been very strong for a very long time. So we are fortunate that has not affected us at this moment.
Nice. Let's see here. And I know we don't want to get into too much. Like, what's your take on, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel for this whole additive-free conversation? You can be as vague or specific as you want. I know it's a sensitive subject.
It is a sensitive subject, but what I will say is transparency is so important in the agave space. And I love that. I don't love that the pandemic happened, but I'm so grateful that it made us as consumers smarter, and people got more connected through social media and gained more power with their purchasing based on the knowledge that they gained of how things were being made and supporting the right brands. And I'm very grateful that Código is on the right side of agave history when we look back, as well as Pernod Ricard, and they don't want us to change our production practices. And that's definitely a highlight for me when I look at our brand, because some brands, and I know from this when I was a bartender, they had these great tequilas. Then all of a sudden I would do a shot with some of my coworkers and my arm hairs would go up. And I was like, this Reposado doesn't taste like what I remember it tasting like. And I think there's some key things that a Blanco shouldn't smell like a vanilla bomb. A Reposado shouldn't taste like cotton candy. And añejo shouldn't smell like coconut lotion. And I think we have to really remember how agave is made, what it is supposed to taste like. Yes, there are some very popular brands that consumers started to fall in love with. And then I think they started to cut corners to kind of keep up with demand. And it's not something that Código has to do. Also, if you look at our bottle, I don't think I said this, our label is the legal smallest size the CRT allows, as well as the font. And that's because we're not trying to hide our liquid. So another key point when we talk on this brand, it's just...
That's interesting. That's really cool.
Some people might say, why isn't the logo bigger? Why aren't you trying to be more of a brand presence on it? But overall, we are trying to show that we are not hiding the liquid that we have.
Our logo is almost as big as yours.
See? Yeah.
On this one, yeah. Last question, and you, other than the additive free thing, what's one? It could be super technical. It could be super minor. What's one thing that you wish that consumers would pay more attention to?
Other than the additive free on agave?
Yeah.
Okay. What do I wish they would pay attention to? That is a tough one, but what I would say is when you look about the families that are representing each of these brands, are they being given a fair living wage? The environmental practices of some of these, not the additive component, looking at who's using a diffuser, who is cutting down agaves before they're fully mature and not allowing them to spider or have the quiote come out or have helioses come out of the bottom. Which brands get that certification as we're looking to from a marketing perspective? Because it's ultimately we all want our tequilas to sell, and something that I say is there's always room at the table as long as you're doing things the right way. And I think it's important that we approach agave from a sustainability factor and not just from a pumping out juice, because I think quality has something to say about that. Like if you look at our ancestral mezcal in the Código lineup, we only produce 1,000 liters at a time. That's because Papeloma agave only grows in the wild. We pull it off the side of the street. And it's not necessarily something we're trying to pump through a cocktail, but it's something that it's meant to be enjoyed amongst friends. So I think that would be just being conscious, not outside of just additives, but a lot of the greener initiatives and what brands are doing. And if they have that check mark, I think is something that we should be looking into.
It's a great answer. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into the Q&A from the audience, we're building our La Popular Agave Club playlist on Spotify. Hopefully we'll release this once we get after, probably 4 or 5 months, once we actually have more than a handful of songs. It's not really a playlist until you probably have about 12 to 15 songs on it. But Mike, we asked you to choose a couple songs that you felt represented Código or just tequila in general. So share your picks with us.
It was a fun exercise actually, and I spent more time than I should have on it, and then I started listening to all these different artists, and then I was like, wait, we can't do this without including the king of country, King George, our original investor, that has a song called Código where he sings "I'm Talking About Código." And if you watch the music video, it's actually in Matitan in the agave fields, and you will see Ricky, our distillery manager, in it, and a lot of the guys that work at the distillery in it as well, dancing during it. And I think it really paints a picture of Código, the brand. He always plays it at his concerts as well. I had the privilege of attending his show at SoFi this summer, where Chris Stapleton opened for him. So just to give you an idea of the power that this man has and how long he's been in the industry and how well respected he is, I just can't think of a better song to add to the playlist. And then the second artist is an up-and-coming artist that George actually has approved. Her name is Annie Bosco. She just sang the national anthem at a Niners game a couple weeks ago. She's open for Jessica Simpson, and I think she was supposed to open for Dolly Parton in Vegas, just to give you an idea of who this is. And she's got this great song called Tequila Time, and I think it represents an aspect of Código. That's another element of the brand, is it's fun. It's tequila time, and it's a fun listen. It's a great song, and I had the privilege of actually meeting her at Desert 5 Spot, and we're trying to execute more events with her in California because her album California Cowgirl just released, and she's just really a great person. Some great songs on there as well, so definitely worth the listen when you get the chance.
Awesome. And I stuck with the whole country kind of vibe that Mike said. I chose Dan and Shay Tequila, kind of spot on, but
nice
country artist. But we'll try to kind of mix in some, more traditional, songs in the future. Last month, I think I chose a couple more traditional songs, but I wanted to stick with the whole country kind of vibe.
Nice.
All right, Mike, we're going to dive into questions from the audience here. So thank you to everyone that has been asking questions. Some people, let's see here. Hey, who's she asks, what's the best way to taste tequila? Is it similar to tasting wine? I mean, I think that's kind of blending both worlds here, right?
Yeah, I think, well, if you think about it, like from a terroir driven, like something like mezcal, tequila as well can be made in 1 to 5 states, most of which 94% of it is made in Jalisco. If you look of the 5 states it can be made in, I think when tasting tequila, depending on what it is. I don't think you always need an ISO glass for a Blanco. But as you get into some of the more age statements, I would take the time when tasting, always clear your palate with some water in between each taste. And when tasting different brands, make sure you try every brand's Blanco, because some reposados and añejos may be good, but they may be good for the wrong reasons. So if a brand doesn't have a good Blanco, I wouldn't waste my time with anything else in the portfolio. And I stand behind Código's Blanco. It's truly delicious. And you can just see what it does with the Rosa, which you all have right now. And just imagine as you try the Reposado, the Añejo, and then, of course, our extra Añejo, and then our even more age statements. Great question.
I love that you said taste the Blanco first. That is, I can't stress how important that is enough. If a brand cannot make a good Blanco, don't drink any of the other stuff.
And something that's interesting from the Agave Spirit Institute training that we did, we asked our instructor several times, is this was prior to a lot of the stuff that came out in the news, was it said that no Blanco can have additives. And I listed off like 10 that I was pretty sure do because of my arm hair thing that I have and my nose with what I can smell. And it was just a funny thing that we kind of discussed. And now it's kind of come to light. And a lot of those brands that were mentioned are in lawsuits right now. So.
Nice. Iconic Beats, who I think is a member in Porter Ranch. I don't have a name, sorry. Iconic Beats, if you can throw your actual name so we can verify your membership, that would be great. But he asks, what would be an ideal pairing, food pairing for this tequila, for the Rosa?
For the Rosa, honestly, when I was just in Guadalajara, I had it with some amazing ceviche. That was truly incredible. Honestly, like a watermelon fig salad if you're looking for something light, but you're safe with seafood, or even like a citrusy chicken dish as well if you're drinking it neat. I always say with Rosa, when it comes to cocktails, we try and keep them in that pink or that red kind of situation in like a bramble, or we'll do a Paloma riff with a little bit of Aperol, grapefruit, and Prosecco and a splash of soda. But we try and stay in like that bramble pink kind of color profile. So, and the association with the Rosa, just to make it kind of stand out.
Ceviche at La Popular, that would be my vote.
Let's do it.
But awesome. Thank Josh. That was Josh from Porter Ranch.
Okay.
Thanks, Josh. Myra De La Torre, who was our winner last month. I'm not trying to lead the witness here, but how would you recommend serving each expression, neat, rested, cocktail? And if you could change one thing about how people drink tequila, what would it be?
That is a great question, Myra. When it comes to serves, something that I love saying about Código, I don't think I said this during the tasting, is Código is a premium tequila, and you don't need training wheels. You don't need salt. You don't need lime. You don't need an orange. You don't really need anything because it's just that good. When it comes to our Blanco, I like to keep it simple. Tommy Margarita, always with fresh lime juice, agave, 2 ounces of tequila would be my recommendation, or in a ranch water. I've had ranch waters with other brands that don't taste as nice depending on the quality. Those would be my recommendations, just tequila, soda, splash of lime. For the Rosa, I put in one of my favorite cocktails in our little card that I think came in your bags, which is coconut water, pineapple, lemon, and a little bit of a canela syrup, and it's truly delicious. But with the Rosa, I also recommend just having it in a spritz riff with Aperol and grapefruit topped with Prosecco or any bramble. With our Reposado, I would do it either in an old fashioned with 2 ounces of Repo, a half ounce of maple syrup, and a couple dashes of chocolate or mole bitters, or in an espresso martini, 2 ounces of Código Reposado, an ounce of Kahlua, 1 fresh a pull of espresso. If you don't have that, a real quality cold brew, and then a quarter ounce of simple syrup. And I would shake that so you get a nice froth, and make sure you put 3 beans to garnish for health, wealth, and happiness. And if you are feeling a little dangerous, you could always use some of our artisanal mezcal and do a split base with 1 ounce of reposado, 1 ounce of artisanal, again with that fresh flow of espresso, Kahlua, and quarter of simple. The añejo is where I would say, depending on time of year, I would have it neat or on a large rock. Our extra añejo as well, typically neat or on a large rock in the right glassware. But at the same time, I think it's okay to bend the rules sometimes. Just make sure you know what you're doing with it. I love a 50-50 martini with our Origen extra añejo. So 1.5 ounces of the extra añejo, 1.5 ounces of a really good dry vermouth, 2 dashes of orange bitters, and just a fresh expression of orange on the top. Serve that in Nick and Nora and thank me later. It's really quite delicious. So
you can tell Mike's a former bartender.
Yeah. I do a lot of the drink strategy for Código too. So these are just some of the ones that I've had. Another favorite of mine is that you can do with either our artisanal mezcal or our State Harvest Still Strength Blanco is just a white Negroni. And you can do that with Italicus, 1 ounce of Italicus, which is a bergamot liqueur. Lillet Blanc, 1 ounce of that, and then 1 ounce of that Estate Harvest Still Strength Blanco or our artisanal mezcal, stirred on a large rock, and then with a grapefruit expression on the top. And again, another excellent cocktail.
Or come to La Popular and order a strawberry habanero margarita in February and ask for Código Rosa. All great options. Did you... Mike, I was so enthralled with your the cocktails. Did we get the second part of that question? I'm so sorry. I think it was, if you could change one thing about how people drink tequila, what would it be?
I think it was the salt and lime. I would encourage people to just not drink bad tequila. Like, just stop supporting bad brands and drink the good stuff that's made the right way. And I think you just don't, when you're drinking a good reposado, like it upsets me when someone does that with any Código that I receive, because I'm like, we don't need this on a reposado shot. I don't need salt on the rim.
Well, that's why this club is here. We're trying to enlighten people. At the end of the day, however you want to drink, it's fine with me, as long as you're drinking it at my restaurants. But we do want to educate, and I agree with you that one of the main purposes of this club is to bring people together that love agave, but also to make sure that we're inclusive and we're welcoming people that, may be those salt and lime tequila shot drinkers and want to learn more about the category and expand their knowledge. So I agree with you, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Raymond asks, since this barrel is from the first press, does the pink peppercorn and floral notes come from the agave juice, or is it developed while aging?
That's a
little bit of both.
It's also during fermentation. So it's during that fermentation that it comes in during that. And then it's also from the barrel aging. And it's the 1-2 on that. Do you have anything else that you would add to that, Trevor?
No, I think agave, especially younger, obviously the longer it spends time in a barrel, the more barrel characteristic you're going to pick up. If you joined us last month where we were tasting the Patron Añejo, we talked a lot about it being an ex-whiskey cask, picking up the vanilla, caramel, honey notes. That a lot of that comes from the barrel aging process. Here, we're tasting a Blanco tequila that was rested for 1 month, maybe a little bit longer in those Napa Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. So you are going to get a little bit of the quality, but here, those pink peppercorn notes 100% are coming from, the agave. Maybe some of that strawberry, those floral notes are picking up from the resting in the cab barrel, but you're going to get much more barrel characteristic with longer aging expressions, with reposados, with añejos, obviously extra añejos. Like Mike said, Ricky developed this barrel strength extra añejo because he liked drinking whiskey and smoking cigars. the longer you age something in an ex whiskey cask, the more of those characteristics it's going to pick up. So barrel aging is a huge process or a huge impact on the end result. But what we're tasting here, I think you're getting some of the subtleties from the barrel, but most of it's coming from the Blanco tequila itself. In my opinion, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I agree with that. And I think it's also important just to remember, like, so that pink peppercorn, some of that it's lowland agave grown on volcanic soil, so you get more of those earthy, peppery, vegetal notes, and some of that could be coming from there as well.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions I see. So let's, again, if you ask a question we didn't get to, I apologize. I tried as many as possible. We're coming up here on an hour. So run through the questions really quick. I'm trying to get real names here. Crystal, hey, who's she, asked the question about what's the best way to taste tequila. Is it similar to tasting wine? We have the question from Josh, Iconic Beats, about pairing. We have the question from Myra about how would you recommend serving each expression? What would you change about drinking tequila, or how people drink tequila? What would it be? And then Raymond asked a question about the first press pink peppercorn floral notes. Does it come from the agave juice, or is it developed while aging? So those are the questions. Mike, you got to choose your two favorites, and I'll choose the winners.
Okay. I'm going to add a caveat into it, that I'm going to add a third place into it, because I thought we had some great questions, and I'm going to send out another cocktail shaker set.
Cool.
So, but I think it was the last three questions. Raymond with the pink peppercorn, Myra with the cocktails, and then I believe it was Iconic Beats.
Josh,
Josh. Yes, that asked about the pairings. Those would be my top three.
Awesome. All right, I'm the bad guy as always. I really like the question about the first press and the notes that came. Does it come from the agave? Does it come from the barrel? I think that allowed us to really talk about what we're tasting tonight. The other two questions were great, but I'm going to go with Raymond for the first place prize, and then Josh and Myra for the second and third place prize. So we'll reach out to get your addresses and coordinate how to get you your prizes. But I want to thank all our Agave Club members. Again, this is month 2. We're really excited about growing this club. We hope to see you out at the next Agave Club Happy Hour, which is the third Thursday of every month from 5 to 7 p.m. We're doing our Strawberry Habanero Margarita class on Thursday, February 12th, where you'll get a sneak preview at the of our February pick, which is the Arete Reposado. And if you bring someone and they sign up for that club, we have something special in store for them. So, tell your friends. We want to grow this community. And Mike, thank you so much. Thank you to Codigo. Thank you to Nikki, who I know is in the background. And Mike, do you want to say anything to bid adieu to everybody?
Yeah, well, Trevor, thank you. This was awesome. It was like having a conversation with an old friend. I missed seeing you in person, but so glad we got to do this. Mary, thank you so much for handling everything on the back end. And of course, Nicole Hamilton, who's been from Pernod Ricard, a great coworker and friend over the last 3 years here, if you guys get the privilege to meet her. And this has just been awesome. And I encourage you all to ask questions when you're out and really know where your agave is coming from and make sure it's being made the right way. And whenever you can, make sure you're drinking Codigo. So hasta la cruz.
Hey, hasta la cruz.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.
All right.